Our text for today is from Philippians chapter 4, verses 4 to 7. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again I will say, rejoice. Let your gentleness be made known to everyone. The Lord is near. Do not worry about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, may your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. There's a certain enthusiasm these days for an aggressive, assertive Christianity, an approach to piety often matched in the public realm where the don't get mad, get even approach to life is honored not just in our personal relationships, but in foreign affairs, and where preemptive strikes aren't just military policy, but the way we deal with our more intimate vulnerabilities. We certainly saw this in our recent election season. Obama felt the need to show how tough he can be. McCain liked to demonstrate how aggressively provocative he can be. Sarah Palin portrayed herself as a take-no-prisoner hockey mom, and Joe Biden enjoyed telling about his childhood in blue-collar Scranton, Pennsylvania, where learning to bloody the nose of bullies who taunted him was both encouraged and admired by his mother. Everyone was worried about the wimp factor. It's no surprise we never saw a campaign button announcing the gentle candidate. I wonder what each of these self-proclaimed Christians would make of Paul's words to the struggling, persecuted church in Philippi. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. Let your gentleness be made known to everyone. Is gentleness just a private virtue, a quality to be shown only in our intimate personal relationships, but not really suitable for the real world where dangerous threats are encountered and more muscular virtues are called for? Apparently, Paul doesn't think so. His letter is addressed to Christians facing the ominous prospect of persecution, imprisonment, and death, where even likely could be occasioned. Philippi was an important Roman city. Its residents were patriotic Roman citizens, comfortable, even enthusiastic in their embrace of the cult of the emperor. To claim that Jesus Christ is Lord was not merely the spiritual recitation of a pious creed. It was a defiant political act of resistance to the empire and its civil religion. This creed could get you in very dangerous trouble. In spite of that, Paul closes his letter to the Philippians counseling gentleness toward everyone. Making this plea even more remarkable is the fact that Paul himself is in prison. Paul is not encouraging gentleness from a comfortable and safe retreat house. He knows what it means to face dangerous, aggressive hostility. Yet he counsels neither fight nor flight. Let your gentleness be known to everyone. His was a violent world, and so is ours. Violence, preemptive or reactive, is an easy, tempting approach to threat, whether in the home, the school, the workplace, the streets, or the arena of global politics. But Paul offers an alternative response to the endless and seemingly impeccable logic of violent response. Don't be conformed to this world, he tells his readers in Romans. Let your gentleness be known to everyone, which presumably includes enemies too. A few years ago, I visited Beirut, Lebanon, a place caught up in cycles of violence for many years. We went to the Sabra and Shatia refugee camps where Palestinians have lived hemmed in for nearly 6 decades. Unable to return home, unwanted in Lebanon and much of the rest of the world. It's a place teeming with rage and bristling with weapons in the hands of Syrian soldiers, Lebanese police, and Hezbollah militia. During my visit to Lebanon, I had, for reasons not quite clear to me, been accompanied by 4 heavily armed guards from the presidential security detail. It wasn't a particularly comforting experience, although I confess that when we got to the refugee camps, I found those guards reassuring. But our guide A retired professor from the American University in Beirut, now a volunteer for the Middle East Council of Churches, made it clear to the guards that they would not be accompanying us in. Hurried phone calls were made, arguments offered, but Sylvia was adamant. If we go in with guns, the people will be frightened, suspicious. We won't be safe. But the people know me. They know the church. They know that we're friends. With me, you'll be safe. And so we marched into this cauldron of frustration and violence and rage, armed not with weapons, but with the witness of the church's love. Let your gentleness be known to all. Some will be quick to call this naivete, the pious thoughts of the preacher, hardly suitable for life's rough and tumble. To be sure, gentleness has sometimes led to martyrdom, as it did for Paul, but there is power in gentleness, testifying to a confidence that in all circumstances the Lord is near, and that the peace of God will guard, if not our bodies, at least our hearts and our minds. Aggressive violence, tit-for-tat retribution, has been the world's staple for a long time. We always seem to find a way to justify it, the necessary evil we sort of lament, but eagerly embrace and often admire. In the midst of the climate of fear over national security, it may not be possible to ask our political leaders to publicly claim this Christian virtue, at least not if they want to be elected. But what about us, running not for office, but for the heavenly prize? Could we try it? Let your gentleness be made known to all.